As you board, please move across your car to make room for everyone, and kindly offer available seating to those needing special assistance. If you're standing, please hold on to the handrails and stay clear of the doors. They will be closing in a moment. Thank you.
Hey, howdy, hey, and welcome to another episode of Disney Assembled. I'm Troy.
And I'm Mimi.
And we are your happy little father-daughter podcast, here to create joy and share our love for all things Disney.
Disney Assembled is sponsored by our patrons over on Patreon, Brenda, Danny, Connie, and Andrew.
Yes, thank you so very much. If you would like to join them and become part of our Patreon supporter family, head on over to patreon.com/DisneyAssembled. You can go to our website, DisneyAssembled.com, click on the Become a Patron button. Membership starts as little as $2 a month. And for that, you get access to all the exclusive Patreon content that it's already out there on that Patreon site. All right. However, if you're looking for additional Disney magic to bring to your life, you need to check out Magic of the Mouse Radio. Magic of the Mouse Radio is the best source for all your Disney music if you're looking for an internet radio station that provides Disney music. Magic of the Mouse Radio is the place to be. Check them out, magicofthemouseradio.com. You can also go to our website. Again, there's a link there, disneyassembled.com. You can hear our show on Magic of the Mouse Radio every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern.
In addition to the Magic of the Mouse radio family, I am so proud to be part of the Magic of the Mouse News family. MagicoftheMouseNews.com has articles for anything and everything Disney related that you might want to read. So make sure to go check it out, MagicoftheMouseNews.com.
Yes, do that. All right. We have a show this week. This is episode 197. We're coming up on 200 episodes.
That's crazy.
I want to do something nice. So, our 200th episode will be releasing somewhere around December 10th, which I think is a Sunday, December the 10th. Today is November. I don't know what today is. November 19th, 2023. I don't know. I would like to do something fun for our 200th episode, but I don't know. What do you think? I mean, part of me wants to maybe do a live on our YouTube channel and take the recording and do it as an episode. And that way, everyone who's listening and all our friends that we've made, if they wish to join us and jump in the chat and be a part of that, possibly.
That sounds like fun. I think we need to talk about this off
Maybe
mic.
that's this week's Disney question week. Maybe we put that question out to our listeners. All right, we have our 200th episode coming up in a few weeks.
What would you guys want to see?
I mean, would you like us to do a thing where people can send us messages or voice messages through the voice? Because you can do that. You go to the show notes, click the link, and you leave a voice message. We can do something like that and just maybe read out what people are saying. Or maybe if we do some scheduling, we might be able to do something live and have people join up, through a chat on our YouTube channel. I don't know. So you guys let us know. What do you think? Send us an email or a direct message. And what do you think? What do you think would be cool for us to do for our 200th episode? So that's coming up pretty soon. It's a big deal. It is a big deal.
Heck yeah.
You think it's a big deal, don't you?
I do think it's a big deal.
If you had your choice, what would you want to do?
I don't know. I have no idea. With the 100th episode, we did the Corridor of Excellence, I think. Right?
We did something like that. Yeah.
We haven't revisited that. I love the Corridor of Excellence. It's a good episode. That's something we started doing at the end of the year.
Yeah. And we have to revisit the Corridor of Excellence.
I think that's something we do on our birthday. But I think our birthday and our 100th anniversary rolled around the same time. Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think maybe that was the case. I know what we should do.
What?
And you know this because I was sharing it with you today. We should jump on a plane.
Oh,
you and I. We should definitely just jump on a plane, fly to Orlando, go to Hollywood Studios, buy the extra hour ticket for Jollywood Nights.
Which has been kind of a flop. so far, but it would not be a flop.
It would not be a flop because they brought out some characters, and there's one character in particular that they have at the Jollywood Nights right now. We've seen the pictures. We are so jealous.
So unbelievably
because
jealous.
This is the character of all characters in Mimi's Disney fandom.
In the hierarchy of all characters, it's higher than Winnie the Pooh. It's higher than Rapunzel. It's higher than Scarlet Witch.
And it's back at the Jollywood Nights unannounced.
He's back. The big bear.
It's the Duffy.
The Duffy bear.
Santa Duffy.
Santa Duffy, guys. Okay, I don't know if you guys know this because we don't talk about, because why would we talk about it? But I have a Duffy bear teddy bear on my bed, and literally I sleep with it every single night. And I've had it since I was 4 years old.
And Duffy and his friends are big, I think in
Hong
Asian
Kong
parks. Right?
Yeah. But like, and I know I sound like I'm just being dramatic or whatever, but I legitimately bring this Duffy bear everywhere. Like, this is my childhood toy, favorite character of all time. Like, he's old, he's ragged, like he's not soft anymore. Like, this bear goes to camp with me. This camp goes to Disney World with me. This camp goes to college with me. Like this.
The camp, the bear.
The bear.
The bear goes to camp.
Yeah.
The camp doesn't go to Disney World.
Did I say the camp goes with me?
The
bear goes with me to camp. The bear goes with me on vacation. The bear goes everywhere with me. I love Duffy. And while Jollywood Nights is definitely a flop, which we should talk about, I would go. I would pay the $200 extra to go see Duffy.
Well, Jollywood Nights.
You guys don't understand.
It had a rough opening. It's new. It's a new thing they're trying to do. I appreciate the effort. And they're bringing out some characters that usually don't get seen very much. They had Santa Stitch.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. And Jiminy Cricket and Pinocchio.
Ugh.
I didn't see Geppetto, though, with his butcher outfit.
Good. No Geppetto.
Yeah.
Geppetto was horrifying.
Geppetto the butcher.
Geppetto the butcher. Who they should bring out if they want to get people to go? All 6 fairies. If you bring out Silver Mist, Nvidia, and the other ones, Fawn,
the other ones,
Fawn, Iridessa, Rosetta. If you get the fairies out there, people will go. People love the fairies. Well, if you get Tink and her squad, people will go.
Well, the Duffy is there. I think today's even Tinkerbell's birthday, believe it or not. I think November 19th is Tinkerbell's birthday.
Crazy.
Happy birthday, Tink. The Duffy.
I love Duffy.
We should do that
Bear.
for our twin. We should get on a plane and fly there.
And go see Duffy.
Record an episode while at Jollywood Nights, meeting Duffy, and then fly back.
Put Duffy on the episode.
That's not going to happen.
I don't know if he talks.
He will not talk.
No, I doubt it.
And we're not going to be able to do that, unfortunately.
We will not be able to do that. Jollywood Nights. I'm a little upset that it's been kind of a flop. But it's not a flop because of the event. It's like what I'm hearing is that it doesn't actually offer anything that you can't get outside of normal park hours except for certain food options.
There's a big Muppet show.
I haven't heard anything about that. Like, everything that I'm hearing, everything that I'm reading, everything that I'm seeing says that Jollywood Nights has potential, but there's nothing about it that makes it special. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is very special. There's a parade and music and new characters out and all these special things. And while they're trying to do something different, the only thing that sets it apart is half the rides in Hollywood Studios are closed. There are certain snack options, so you can spend money on special stuff. And that's it. And now
here's why it's successful. They're selling tickets. As long as they're selling tickets and enough tickets to make it worthwhile, they'll see it as successful. And they'll continue to tweak it.
Yeah, I hope they do it again next year because I really love the idea of an after-hours event coming to Hollywood Studios. There is unlimited potential there, guys. I've just hold out on that idea until I can make it into that boardroom, guys. Just hold out on it until I can make it into that ideas development.
The ideas are coming.
Boardroom, but
more Duffy.
Because I have so many ideas for Hollywood Studios and what you can do with that after hours. But like, I think if you take what's it called, where they all dress up in the Dapper outfits, Dapper Day,
I guess,
whatever it's called. If you take that and you make it like an official Disney event, that would be fire.
Yeah, it could be.
Anyway,
there you go. Duffy, he's there.
Duffy is at Hollywood Studios. Insanely jealous of that.
Wish is coming out soon on the 22nd of November. Are we going to go and see it around the 22nd? Should we go see it on
I have
opening
no
day?
idea. I'm getting some really mixed reviews. Like, people aren't loving that the music that we've heard so far is so diluted. It's not like Disney music, although very kiddish, has had really great lyricism, really great vocal performance, very solid music, right? Like, I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda, while he's annoying, he is a genius. He's a lyrical genius, and Kanto was a smash hit. And the Wish music is just so corny. And so I think that and the new animation style, people don't like it. People don't think it looks clean.
What's wrong with it?
It doesn't look like it was rendered all the way.
Really? I've not heard that. The influencers have started seeing it early, and from what I've seen, they really liked it. They said there's a great post-credit scene. We need to stay for post-credit scenes.
I would like to go see it.
They love it. They said, so why don't we do it? Why don't we go? You're not doing anything on the 22nd. You don't have school this week. I don't have work this week. Let's go see it.
You know what else you know what we did see?
We did see
The Marvels.
We did see The Marvels. Now listen.
We're going to have a whole discussion essentially about this film.
It's a good segue because this week's conversation is going to be about The Marvels, MCU, this kind of stuff. We did talk about Loki last time a little bit. I mean, we're going to talk more about films today. We're not going to talk about the TV shows as much. And
it's time that we sit down and we talk about the MCU.
We're going to talk about it.
As the self-proclaimed MCU
33
know-it-alls.
films. 33 films up to this point.
We know everything there's to know about the MCU.
I don't know if we know everything.
I do. I know everything there's to know about the MCU.
You know everything you know about the MCU, and I know everything I know about the MCU. We're going to share some of that with our listeners today, and they're going to, I don't know, be dazzled by our ignorance of the MCU.
I know so much about the MCU. Don't play. I've watched
33 films.
33 films. That's crazy.
Now, the Marvels.
And only like half of them are good.
Is part of that. We'll talk about our initial impression. I mean, we may have talked a little bit about it last week. We have some
things to say about the Marvels. We didn't talk about the Marvels last week, I don't think.
Did we not?
I don't think so.
We talked about it briefly.
I don't know. I think we mentioned it briefly, but essentially we're going to talk about the Marvels. But before we can do that, we have to do this week's Disney dad joke of the week.
Oh, we do?
Well, duh.
Is that what we're doing this week?
Well, we do it every week.
Are we doing it right now?
I wrote it in my college essay. So if UC Berkeley listens to this episode when they're reading my application and they've read that we do a weekly Disney dad joke of the week and they listen to this episode and there's no Disney dad joke of the week, they're going to think I lied to them. And then they're not going to let me in.
Can't have that. All right. So I guess we need to do one then, right?
Hi, UC Berkeley.
I do have one ready to go.
UC Berkeley, if you're listening to this, please let me in.
For free.
I really want to go to your school.
For an amount we can afford.
Please, I really want to study political science at UC Berkeley.
Right.
Please. Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
Back on track. We don't want to be liars, so we have to have our joke, right?
Exactly.
All right. I have one teed up and ready to go. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for this week's Disney dad joke of the week. Mimi.
Yeah.
You know, Captain America, and
I don't.
He took the stones back. You know, at the end of the movie, he had to go back he went back through the time machine to bring the stones back. Right?
Correct.
Remember that, right?
Yes.
He brought Mjolnir with him. I think he brought his shield too. Yeah, I think he had his shield and Cap's Thor's hammer. You know, that shield came back and was lying around one day, and you know, Hulk was pretty frustrated. Captain America gets all the credit, gets all the attention, for going back in time and doing all that stuff. The Hulk wanted some credit too. Mm-hmm. So he picked up the shield. Couldn't pick up Mjolnir because he's not worthy, but he could pick up the shield. Mm-hmm. The Hulk picked up the shield. He used the time machine. He went back all the way to 1814.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
The Hulk with Captain America's shield all the way back to 1814. That is the actual origin of the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, that's so good.
You get it?
Oh, that is so good.
The Star Spangled Banner was like the 1814s when it was written, you get it?
Yeah.
And the Hulk.
And he's banner.
And he took the shield, which had a star on it.
That is so good.
The actual origin of the Star Spangled Banner.
I love that. That was a really, really, really good one.
That is this week's Disney dad joke.
I'm going to tell that one to my creative writing teacher.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening and you have a dad joke of the Disney variety that you think would be appropriate for our show, you are more than welcome to submit it for consideration. You can do that by sending us an email at disneyassembled@gmail.com. You can also send it to us as a direct message on the socials.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all at Disney Assembled. Yes. Anyway, okay, so the Marvels. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about this.
Because I have some things to say.
You have some things to say. I have some things to say. I want to set up our conversation a little bit about this. When we talk about films, We are not film experts. I know you want to potentially study film in college a little bit in screenwriting. But I think there's some aspects that when we talk about films, we want to focus on. One, I think, is just fun. Was the film fun? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you laugh? Did you have emotion? Did you walk out of there thinking that the money was well spent because it was fun? It was a good use of time. Two, character development. I think character development, you and I have talked about this, is really, really important. If characters are flat, or if their journey isn't, further developed as a result of watching the film, then why were they in there? What's the point?
Yeah.
Right?
And a little bit more on that. We've talked a lot about how good, specifically MCU films, are good. They're good because they are character driven. We've talked about this with Star Wars a little bit too. But character involvement, character development is like super, super important to what we think makes a quality film.
In addition to that, story. And by story, I mean, is the plot engaging, interesting? And in these films in particular, there has to be an antagonist that is worthy of the protagonist's strengths, right? Whenever you have an antagonist that can take advantage of the protagonist's weaknesses, you know what I'm saying? It sets you up for a good story and a good sort of conflict. So there has to have a good engaging conflict, which means you have to have a bad guy or an antagonist that's worthwhile. And you have to have a plot that doesn't have to be credible, because these are works of fiction and science fiction, but at least has to be an engaging, interesting plot. Mm-hmm. So having set all that up, using that sort of mindset, what did you walk away from the Marvels feeling?
I felt like on the surface, the movie was incredibly well done. So I'm looking at it from the perspective that I've looked at every single MCU film up to this point at. I want to see inklings of the shows. I want to see that integration of what's going on at Disney Plus versus what's going on in the movie theater. I want to see that. And I felt as though this movie accomplished that really well. We picked up immediately. Obviously, this is a spoiler full episode. We're going to try to keep it like as minimal as possible, but this episode's going to be pretty full of spoilers. But we pick up this movie essentially right where Ms. Marvel ends. And I think that was incredibly well done, considering the context of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that picked up kind of after WandaVision, but like a weird amount of time after WandaVision, but we were supposed to just fill in the blank. This movie fulfilled that aspect of what I was looking for from it, right? And I was relieved and excited. I also thought this film was funny. I legitimately enjoyed myself watching this movie. I thought the characters interacted really well. I thought their personalities were highlighted and their dynamic was developed. Their dynamic was interesting. They were funny. And the age gap between the three of them is so well touched upon. And just the generation of, growing up with heroes, and Monica Rambeau's experience being blipped, and Kamala Khan being 14 years old or 16 years old, and Brie Larson being like 300 years old. I mean, like it's very, very well crafted from a character's perspective. And I think that is what makes this a good film. And I think people are discounting that because they didn't like the plot, because the plot moved very quickly. This movie was like half the time than the other Marvel films have in the past have been, right? So the story moved quickly. And I think that worked in its favor. But what do you think about that?
So the Marvels have not performed well at the box office. I don't care about box office. I care about what I said. Was it fun? Was it an engaging story? Was there good character development? Was there, do these things matter? Here's my things on the Marvels. I think the Marvels was much better than people are saying it was. Fun. It was fun. Just like you said, I laughed out loud. I don't laugh out loud in the movies very often. No. I laughed out loud and I was engaged. It was a good, fun time. It was an efficient movie. It was the shortest runtime of any of the MCU films. And that doesn't hurt it. I don't feel like it skipped over significant plot points that left you confused. Now, the movie could have been longer if they would have done more to explain who Monica and Miss Marvel were. Because if you didn't see WandaVision or Miss Marvel,
you were definitely.
You could be confused about who they were. Why are they important? Where did they come from? They do a little bit of that. They do like a little exposition that explains their deal. But the film could have been easily 30, 45 minutes longer, but it would have been too long. It would have been like, for anyone who's seen those shows, if they had spent a lot of time setting up who these people were, you would have lost the people who saw them on TV because they were like, I already know all this. This is a waste of my time, right? So it seems like the film was made primarily for people to have to watch WandaVision and Miss Marvel to figure out who these characters were. But I didn't have a problem with that. I don't think that's a bad thing. Efficient storytelling is fine. The story itself, I mean, the plot was somewhat engaging. I think the conflict was lacking a little bit. I think this was mostly a movie about developing Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Miss Marvel's characters more for future films than it was necessarily dealing with the conflict in this particular film. Because I will say this, and this has gone around, I thought Dar-Ben, the villain, is a really weak villain. It was not portrayed very strongly. I get the villain's deal. They want to, the villain wanted to steal the resources back using the bangle to get her home planet back to functioning after Captain Marvel did something to mess it all up. I mean, I get it's a revenge thing.
Right. But the issue with it is that the character isn't developed. The villain comes out of nowhere. The main critique I have with this film is the villain, is the antagonist. The villain does not have enough character development, and so I'm not invested in the story.
I also didn't like I knew they had to go to different planets because the resources were being stolen. I think the whole side story was very brief about Carol being married to this guy on this planet, and all they communicate by singing. I mean, it was kind of hokey, but I guess it added to some of the fun, I guess, of the film, but that wasn't really felt necessary. I would just say it was a fun film. I thought the plot was average. I thought the villain was below average, but I thought the three main characters were really good. I don't like what they're doing with Nick Fury. He's almost becoming comedy relief now since Secret Invasion. But I think Brie Larson's portrayal of Captain Marvel in this film was I really liked it. I think you've seen some real development of that character from her solo movie through the Infinity War film, or was it Endgame?
She wasn't really in those.
And then in this film, and certainly the star in the movie, which is being reported everywhere, and I agree, is the Miss Marvel. I think she was
Kamala Khan is the main character.
Kamala Khan,
what's her name?
I don't remember the name of the actress.
Imani. Hang on, let me find it.
Right. She was absolutely fantastic, and she deserves a lot of credit. She really loves this role, and it shows, and she does a great job with it.
She also, fun fact, I kind of went down like a crazy...
This is the only character she's ever played. Like, this is the first role she's ever really had.
I kind of went down this like crazy rabbit hole of like videos of her. Where is she? Where is her name? Iman Vellani.
Right.
Yeah, that's who it is.
She's done a great job.
She knows everything about the MCU. Okay, kind of side tangent. What I think makes her portrayal of Ms. Marvel so well done is that her fangirling for Captain Marvel is real. That's not her acting. That's not her playing a character. Like, she loves the MCU. She knows all this like random trivia that like no one would ever actually know. Like, it's actually fascinating. And I think she totally stars. And I'm very excited to see her take on this like leadership role in this Young Avengers thing they're setting up.
Well, this is phase 5, I believe. And there are 3 films in phase 5 of the MCU. The Marvels is the third that's come out. The other 2 are Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I would say of those 3 films, it's probably my second. The Marvels is my second favorite. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
It ended their story.
That was very
well.
good.
Yeah.
And I think The Marvels was better than Quantumania.
I think so too. Because, okay, kind of jumping back on the villain really quick. I think the number one critique of this film is its plot. The plot is basic. It doesn't really matter that much. But that is kind of my point. The plot doesn't matter that much. This movie is not about the plot. This movie is about Kamala Khan, Monica Rambeau, and Carol Danvers meeting up and becoming a team, right? Like This is what this movie is about. But
then Monica Rambeau ends up off the team by the end of the movie.
Right, but I think that
you have to go see the film and find out what happened.
That's all relative. But the problem with the villain isn't the actor's portrayal of the villain. It isn't even really the writing of the villain. It's the fact that the villain comes from the first Captain Marvel movie that came out 5 years ago.
Right, she's a Kree.
5 years ago. She's a Kree. Nobody remembers anything of what happened. The movie, first of all, was the first, I think, truly bad MCU movie I think we've ever seen.
I didn't think Captain Marvel was that bad.
It's the first.
It was average.
It was the first of subpar MCU films, and people don't. I'm
going to challenge that.
With the exception of like Thor from the beginning of the MCU.
Well, there was. We're going to go over the phases here in a minute. Not every film, but we'll discover that Captain Marvel wasn't the great movie, but it wasn't. I mean, it's probably in the bottom half.
Captain Marvel was not very well received. People didn't like the film. People didn't want to go see the film. People didn't go see that film. So you already have a smaller pool of people who saw the movie and an even smaller pool of people who remember what happened. And so the villain, this Kree character, is coming from, this backstory of Captain Marvel destroying her homeland. And they kind of give us some context to remind us what happened. But like, I was sitting there and I was like, I saw Captain Marvel the day it came out and I do not remember a single thing that happened in that movie. And I think that is the main issue with the villain. I think if they had given the villain some more context and some more development and made that runtime a little bit longer in that sense, the plot would have been more enticing and to care about. Right.
Well, let's put the Marvels sort of, let's take a look at these things in phases, and maybe we can figure out where the Marvels fits in the grander scale of MCU films. I think we're going to discover it probably sits in the bottom half, but let's challenge that assumption, right? Because I do think it's a good film, and I do think if you have not seen it, you should go see it. It really was very entertaining.
It was.
I was not disappointed that I went and spent the $30 to go see the film.
It's not going to win Movie of the Year, but I think it's better than anything else that we've gotten so far, with the exception of Guardians. But the main thing, that I said this at the very beginning of our conversation, this film, and I want to say this before we talk about the phases, this film does what I have wanted the movies from the past like 3-4 years to do that they haven't done, is incorporate some aspect of what we're seeing on Disney Plus onto the big screen. And the fact of the matter is, Kamala Khan's mere existence on the television, on the big screen, on the movie theater, does that for us. And then the post-credit scene with Kate Bishop wraps it all together. And now there is a plot line. Now there's something that is definitive, that is set, that will move forward, that will bring in these Disney Plus shows. Monica Rambeau's character, boom, that's WandaVision wrapped up. Kamala Khan being in this movie, boom, that's that wrapped up. Kate Bishop having a feature, boom, that's probably wrapped up.
I'm sorry, we just spoiled that for you. But yeah,
boom, that's probably wrapped up.
Definitely.
But like, it's now bringing that together. It's not doing anything with the space and time stuff, and that's an entirely separate issue. But it's doing what I've wanted it to do for a very long time, and I screamed. I was so excited to see Kate Bishop on that screen.
Well, this is phase 5, and I think people have recency bias, and they're talking about the MCU's on the way down. But let's challenge that thinking. Let's take a look at phase 4, which began with Black Widow and ended with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So the films in phase 4 were Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, The Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Love and Thunder, and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Those are the films in phase 4. Now, of those films, in my mind, there is a clear better film than the rest of them in there.
Yeah.
Do you have one from those that you think stands out?
I have two that stand out as good. I enjoyed, kind of touching briefly on all of them, I enjoyed Black Widow. It wasn't great. It felt like too little too late. Shang-Chi, I don't remember what happened in that movie. Eternals, I really don't remember what happened in that movie. Spider-Man stands out to me. That was a good movie. It brings in a little bit of that space and time stuff with the variants, kind of, I guess. And it was nice to see Andrew Garfield back in a Spider-Man suit. What's the next one? Doctor Strange?
There are 7 films in that phase. 3 of them stand out to me as above average, and 4 of them stood out as below average, or ones that were worse than I hoped they would be. Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi, and Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, I think stood out to me as good, decent. I think Spider-Man was the best of those 3 in my mind. I think Shang-Chi maybe.
I don't know. I really liked Wakanda Forever.
The fighting scenes in Shang-Chi were very good, but I just wasn't that invested in the characters. Wakanda Forever sets up some good stuff, but we'll see what happens. I don't know what they're going to do.
I liked Wakanda Forever. It felt, a lot of the movie felt like a eulogy to Chadwick Boseman, which is valid, but I wanted to see more movie and less of that.
But those 3 stood out. The other 4, Black Widow, Eternals, Multiverse of Madness, and Love and Thunder, to me were disappointments. I think
Love and Thunder was such a disappointment. Multiverse of Madness, we don't even talk about it. That was the biggest disappointment of all time.
Well, I know Phase 5, the one we're in right now, hasn't wrapped up yet. But based on the 3 films, and maybe it's not fair, but would you say Phase 4 or Phase 5 is better? I would say, I think Phase 5 so far is better on a whole than Phase 4. But that's just me. It's only 3 films.
I think Phase 5 only has 3 films, but it has already done more exciting things looking forward than Phase 4 did. I think
Phase 4 did a lot of looking back and looking sideways.
And not a whole lot of going forward. And I think that is what holds it back for me. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3 times. I have not seen anything from Phase 4 more than once. And I think that speaks volumes.
Okay.
I would see the Marvels again. It was a good movie. I legitimately enjoyed that movie.
Well, let's take a look at the phase right before that, because I think this phase 3, by some people's standards, may have been the best phase. I believe Phase 3 started with Captain America: Civil War, which gets sort of a mixed review, but I liked it. Doctor Strange, Guardians Volume 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther. Then it had Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel.
This is all Phase 3?
Endgame, and Spider-Man: Far From Home. I think we're all part of Phase 3. Phase 3 was a pretty phase. Big... Yeah,
can I look at it? I'm a very visual learner, guys. Fun fact.
Civil War, Doctor Strange.
Guardians 2.
Homecoming.
I don't remember Homecoming. Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and Wasp. Okay. Spider-Man: Far From Home. Okay. I think this phase to me is like the golden age of Marvel films.
Yeah, I think Phase 3 is really good.
I think Phase 2 has some iconic ones, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man Classic, Age of Ultron. But I don't think anything beats the period of time being in 7th and 8th grade when these movies were coming out. And it was just like revolutionary, or go from 6th to 8th grade. Maybe it was just a really formative time in my life, but Doctor Strange was the first PG-13 movie I've ever seen. And I love that movie. It's so close to my heart. Civil War, I liked. Guardians of the Galaxy, every single one of those films is a hit. Spider-Man, those are also all hits, I think. Ragnarok, literally is regarded as the best MCU movie of all time.
Oh, no.
It definitely is.
It is not the best.
It is. The way people talk about it, people talk about this movie like it's the best MCU movie of all of them.
I think Ragnarok was good.
It's definitely up there.
Because it had a Hulk element in it, which was interesting.
And Loki.
But, yeah.
You can always do it with Loki.
They had Hulk and Loki, and then they did the other Thor movie, and it didn't have Loki or Hulk in it, and it kind of stunk.
Right. What does that say about Thor's character?
Well, it was just boring.
The hype around don't spoil the Endgame, the seeing Infinity War and having to wait for Endgame to come out. Nothing beats this, I think.
Yeah, Phase 3 is great. Black Panther is very good. Ragnarok was good. The Spider-Man movies are good. Guardians was good. there's not a bad movie. I guess
Captain Marvel's,
even the Ant-Man and the Wasp I enjoyed. That was fun.
I think Captain Marvel is arguably the only flop in the entire...
Well, Captain Marvel, and it didn't flop. It made good money at the box office, but I think Captain Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp were the weaker films in Phase 3. But even so, with those films would be okay in Phase 4. I mean, they were better than some of the Phase 4 films.
Right. They're not bad, but like they are the ones that, like, of all the ones that stand out, they don't stand out, right? Or Captain Marvel stands out in a negative light. Phase 2, also kind of
let's talk about Phase 2, because there are fewer films in Phase 2.
Short little phase. Yeah.
So it started with Iron Man 3, which some would say was the worst of the Iron Man movies.
I don't remember any of them past the first one.
Well, Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, which is considered by some to be the worst of the MCU films, if not.
That's valid.
It could be right there with Eternals. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which I think is among the best of the films in the MCU. The first Guardians movie, great. Avengers: Age of Ultron, which originally people didn't appreciate, but I think in hindsight, you got introduced to Vision, you got introduced to Wanda. I mean, I think that was an important film. And then
Age of Ultron is a good movie, and I will die on that hill. The original
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man is also a good movie, and I will also die on that hill.
But I do think Phase 2 is weaker than Phase 3.
There's a lot of context being set up here, right?
But better than Phase 4? Do you think Phase 2 or 4? Which one?
I think hang on, let me look at Phase
2
4.
is carried by the Captain America movies.
I think
the Winter Soldier
the strongest movie coming out of Phase 4 is Spider-Man No Way Home. And I don't think Spider-Man No Way Home is stronger than Guardians of the Galaxy or Ant-Man or Winter Soldier. I mean, I don't like Winter Soldier, but I can have an appreciation for it.
We would put Phase 2 below Phase 3, but ahead of Phase 4? Yes. Yeah. So if we were ranking them so far, we'd have Phase 3 as the best. Phase 4, Phase 5 is the second, and then Phase 4 after that.
Theoretically. But this is Phase 2.
Well, that's right. We'd have 3.
It would be 3, 2, 5, 4.
Right. 3, 2, 5, 4.
Then the question becomes, where do we put 1? The most iconic, I think, moment.
So Phase 1 wrapped up with the Avengers, the original Avengers movie.
We've got Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, which is not a good movie, and then Captain America: First Avenger, which is my favorite MCU film personally. I think that one is so cute.
And then the Avengers. So I think this one, because Iron Man 2 and Thor are in there, and the Incredible Hulk movie wasn't all that. It was okay.
It also wasn't.
In hindsight, there's important stuff in there.
In hindsight, well, I mean, you get Iron Man, you get like this, I said Phase 2 was a lot of context, but this is all context. And I don't think any of these films stand out. Like, aside from their nostalgia or importance to the plot, importance to the characters, I don't think they're like particularly good films, like from a cinematic point of view. Except I think Captain America and the First Avenger is a good film.
Is Phase 1 better than Phase 2?
I don't think so. I think Guardians is such a good movie, and I think Winter Soldier is such a good movie. They are better than, I mean, seriously. I mean, if you were given two choices, you can watch Iron Man Classic or you can watch Winter Soldier. Which one are you picking?
Winter Soldier.
Exactly. Like, I mean, no one is picking Phase 1 ever. No one's.
So it sounds like Phase 3 for us is we think is the best phase.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an unpopular opinion.
Followed by Phase 2.
I think it was 3.
Then 2. Because 2 had Guardians in it. And
3, 2, 5, 4, 1.
I think it's 3, 2, 1.
Ooh.
5, 4. I think 4 is the worst phase.
Yeah. 4 is, yeah. I don't understand how they determine what's a phase and what's not. Like, why do the phases start?
That's a good question.
Where do they stop? Like, I guess if you look at it from a thematic point of view, you can probably figure it out. Like, from Iron Man to Avengers, you're only getting like you're setting up the characters, you're meeting the characters to get them to the first Avengers, right? And then second movie, we start out, we get a little bit more. We learn about space. That's where we get Ultron. And then we end with Ant-Man, which is all about space, which essentially Ant-Man inevitably does set up Infinity War.
And Ultron about space?
Ultron shows you the first inkling of Wanda And they knew from this film what she was going to become, right? And then Ant-Man inevitably sets up Infinity War because of how there's like something in it. I don't remember exactly what happens, but I remember watching Infinity War and being like, oh, they talk about that in Ant-Man. Phase 3, this is all Infinity War. This is all Endgame, Thanos, what's it called? Infinity Stones. Like that's all this. That's all this stuff. And then Phase 4, nobody knows what's going on there. No one really understands. And then Phase 5, you seem to be getting
so like I said,
into a real
if
rhythm
we were
here.
ranking the phases, it would go 3, 2, 1, 5, 4.
3, 2. I would do 3, 2, 5, 1, 4. That's what
You
I would do.
think 5 is better than Phase 1?
I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a better movie, and I will choose to watch it over anything in Phase 1.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you there. You can do,
but Phase 1
that.
is iconic. Phase 1.
Right.
It doesn't exist without the
In my
Avengers.
world, it's 3, 2, 1, 5, 4. In your world, it sounds like it's 3, 2, 5, 1, 4.
Yeah, but I think those are two interchangeable ones.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think
they're kind of on the
everybody's
same
going to
level.
enjoy the things they enjoy, and they're perfectly fine enjoying whatever. But I think we've laid it out, right? So the Marvels, I think it's not in the top half, but it's got to be in that middle.
I think
group.
it's like the Guardians 2 of this phase. You know how Guardians 2 is like a good movie, but it's not really anyone's favorite, but like it's really good. That's how I feel about this movie. I feel like it's the Guardians 2.
Okay,
if I could assign it to something that already exists.
What I know is it's better than what people are saying it is, and you should go see it.
Or it's the Ant-Man. It's the Ant-Man. That's what it is. Everybody hated Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Everybody hated Ant-Man.
Yeah.
But then they came around and they were like, wait, this movie is actually so funny. And also it gives us all the things we needed to know for Infinity War. Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
I think this movie, I think the Marvels in the long run is going to end up being super important because of everything they tell us about the jump points.
Right.
It's all about jump points.
Well, it feels like we have phased through the MCU pretty thoroughly here, right? There's a good segue there. We've phased through. Mimi, maybe our listeners have some strong opinions about which phase or which film in the MCU is their favorite. How can they possibly let us know?
Yeah, so you guys can send us an email, disneyassembled@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all at Disney Assembled. But if you guys want to support the show further, the link to our TeePublic, Patreon, Buy Us a Dole Whip, all that super fun stuff is on our website, disneyassembled.com. Make sure to go check it out.
Yeah, please do so. And if you haven't done so already, check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DisneyAssembled. Hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate that. Hey, and if you're feeling, a little adventurous, hit that bell icon so you get notified whenever a new video pops up on our YouTube channel. Obviously, the best thing you can do is tell our show about your friends, share it on your social media networks, and leave us a rating and review. If the podcast player of choice that you are using allows you to subscribe, do that. And if it allows you to do a rating and or review, we would certainly appreciate a great rating and review from you there. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
I'm good.
High five?
High five.
Good show. Thanks a lot. Guys, remember, 200th episode. Let us know what you think we should do for the 200th episodes coming up in a few weeks. We really want to know your opinion on that as we start planning for that very important anniversary for us. All right. Thank you for listening. We hope this show brought a smile to your face, some extra magic to your day, and that all-important sprinkle of pixie dust to your week. Thanks for listening again, and until next time,
see you real soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, please collect your belongings, watch your head and step, and take small children by the hand.